Okay, this video is going to go through some practice questions for finding areas of circles. Pause the video and have a go with as many of these as you can, and then I'm going to work through all of them. You don't have to watch me go through all the questions, but you can check your answers in a few minutes. Okay, so the answers are going to appear now. If you haven't had a go yet, just pause the video. These are the answers. If you got them all correct, great. I'm going to show you a few of the methods for these now. So starting with question 1, well, the main idea is area of a circle. So area is going to be equal to pi r squared, or pi times r times r. We're going to use that for these questions, and we can see for question 1 the radius is 18. Now this is asking us for exact answers, so we're not going to need to use a calculator for most of these questions. So area equals pi r squared, which is equal to pi times 18 squared. We're going to put the number in front. So 18 squared is 324, and pi, and then don't forget the units, meters squared. That's your final answer. Question 2. The diameter is 3 centimeters, so we're going to need to half that. So area equals pi r squared, so that's equal to pi times, now the radius is 3 over 2. We're going to write it as a fraction because squaring a fraction is easier than squaring a decimal. So 3 over 2 squared, which is the same as 3 over 2 times 3 over 2, so that becomes 9 over 4 pi, and then check the units. This is in centimeters squared, it's an area. Question 3, area equals pi r squared. So we can see that the radius is 9, so it's pi times 9 squared, which is 81, so it's 81 pi centimeters squared. Next question, we have the radius of 25, so again area equals pi r squared, which is equal to pi times 25 squared, and 25 squared is going to give you 625, so 625 pi millimeters squared. Next one, area equals pi r squared. Let me try that again. The computer is glitching. Pi r squared, that's equal to 10 times, pi times 10 squared, which is 100 pi meters squared. The last question, the diameter is 5. It's not labelled, but you can see that's going to be the distance from one end to the other through the centre. So same method, area is pi r squared, which is pi times 5 squared, which is 25 pi meters squared. Okay, the next set of questions you would have done, we're going to work through these now. So we can see, so that's pi times, now the radius here is 15, so we're going to do 15 squared. So that's going to equal 15 times 15 is 225, so 225 centimeters squared. Pi, sorry, there should be a pi there. Next one, we've got area equals pi r squared. The radius is 4, so it's going to be pi times 4 squared, which is 16 pi millimeters squared. The next one, we have the diameter is 22.4, so we're going to need to half that to 11.2. So area equals pi times 11.2 squared. 11.2 squared using a calculator is 125.44. You could leave it as a fraction as well. I'm going to write it as a decimal, so it's 125.44 pi, and then the units, centimeters squared. The next question here, now these are slightly harder because we've been given the area, we need to work out the radius, so we're going to work backwards. So we know the formula, area equals pi r squared. The area is given to us as 9 pi, so 9 pi equals pi times r squared. Now you can spot something similar here. If you 9 times pi is equal to r squared times pi, so r squared has to equal 9. And what numbers do you square to get 9? You know it's going to be 3. Now I'm going to show you the working out just in case it's not an easy number like this one. You would divide by pi both sides to cancel pi, and that gives you 9 is equal to r squared, and then you're going to square root both sides. So square root of 9 is 3, the square root of r squared is r, so 3 is equal to r, and that's going to be centimeters, so just write 3 centimeters equals the radius. Okay, second question, we're going to still just do area equals pi r squared. The area is 16 pi equals pi times. Now we're going to work out the radius first, and then from that we're going to double it to work out the diameter. Do not confuse squaring with doubling. Squaring is when you multiply by itself, and doubling is when you multiply by 2. Because the squaring is a power of 2, people get confused, so we're just going to call this r squared. So we're going to divide both sides by pi, that will cancel out. So 16 equals r squared. Square root both sides. So 4 is equal to the radius. And in this case, if the radius is 4, then the diameter must be equal 2 times 4, which is 8 centimeters. Okay, last question here. Area, we're still going to just do the formula, area equals pi r squared. So the area this time is a decimal, 19.635. That's equal to pi r squared. So we're going to divide both sides by pi. Now this you would need a calculator for. So let's get the calculator out. Okay, so on this calculator we're going to do 19.635 divided by, and then pi, so shift, and then in this calculator it's the bottom middle key. In your calculator it might be shift 7. I'm going to press equals, we get 6.25001. So we can say 6.25001 is equal to r squared. Now we're going to need to square root both of these sides. So I'm going to press square root answer, because that's going to square root 6.25001 and whatever else is on there, and we get 2.50000. So at that point we're going to round it sensibly and say when you square root both sides you get r is equal to 2.5, and we've got units, meters, and in brackets we're just going to say this is to 1 decimal place, and that should be good enough. Okay, I'll see you going through some more area questions in the next video. See you then. Okay, looking at more questions to do with areas of a circle. Have a look at both of these questions and see if you can spot what's different about them and what's similar. Okay, so first of all, the thing I notice is we've got 25 pi as the area of this one and 100. So there's no pi given in this question here. So there is a difference there. Similarity is the fact that they are both asking for the radius. We're going to have a go at both of these questions. The fact that pi is missing in this question here, or it's kind of included within the 100, is going to change potentially how we approach this question. So let's look at the first one. A circle has an area of 25 pi. What's the length of its radius? Step one is always just write the formula. Area equals pi r squared, or pi times r times r. We know the area. The area is 25 pi. So that's equal to pi r squared. Now that must tell us that if pi times 25 is equal to pi times r squared, well, 25 must equal to r squared. So we're dividing both sides by pi essentially. We're just going to cancel them out here, divide both sides by pi, and then we end up with 25 equals r squared. Now this is a nice number that we like when we got squares because it's a square number. So we're going to square root both sides, and what you get is 5 is equal to r. And that's it. That's your answer. 5. Don't forget units. This will be in centimeters. Okay, next example. Now this time we don't have pi to deal with, so we may need to use a calculator here, potentially. Now we know the area of this is 100 centimeters squared, so area equals pi r squared. So 100 is equal to pi times r squared. Now we can't cancel pi's out because there's no pi on the left hand side. So we're going to divide both sides by pi. Divide by pi. When you do that, these pi's cancel out and we're left with 100 over pi is equal to r squared. Now we're going to do the inverse of squaring, which is square rooting. So when you square root both sides, you're going to get 100 over pi square rooted is equal to the square root of r squared. Now when the square root of r squared is just r, so we're just going to leave that as r. This is what we call an exact answer because it's in terms of pi. The exact answer is, you can leave it like this. If it asks you to turn it into a decimal, you would just use your calculator to do that. So the calculator, what you want to do is press the square root button, press the fraction button, so now you've got a fraction inside a square root. So it's 100, press down and then shift, find the pi button. It might be on top of 7 or it might be on the bottom middle key. Press equals, so that gives us, we're going to round it, so you're going to do wavy lines here and you can see it's 5.641. We're going to round it to 2 decimal places, just 5.64 to 2 dp. And that's our answer. Don't forget units. This will be centimeters because it's a radius. All right, I hope that was useful.